What's poppin' peeps, and this is Exhibit XYZ Games here, and I'm going to be teaching you how to make a settlement in Fallout 4. So basically, the backstory, this man, Preston Garvey, you meet him early on in the storyline, he wants to rebuild his faction of the Minutemen, who used to help and aid people during the war and after the war in the post-apocalyptic world. But as the war grew on and as the radiation seeped through into the wasteland, the Minutemen disbanded because there was a lot of casualties and conflicts within the group. So he wants to rebuild that, and he can only do that with your help. So having him as an ally grants you a perk in which you can make your own settlements. So this is going to be how you build a settlement and the basics of it. So what we want to do first is run to our big little box, big little red box. This big little red box is your workshop. So you click X on your workshop to open up display of all the categories on the top of your happiness level, how many beds your community has, how much defense it has, how much power, water, food, and ultimately its population. And in the bottom screen, it shows you what you can build, such as structures, furniture, decorations, power, defense, resources, stores, and crafting materials. So the first thing we're gonna go through is that when you're in this mode, um, you can break down certain things you don't like in your society, because when you come into a community first, which Preston Garvey sends you to, he sends you to a lot of settlements to like conquer them and make them powerful again. It's all messy and it's all disgusting because there's mutants all over the place, there's raiders all over the place that you killed, blood spilled everywhere. So you want to clean that up. So by entering this mode, this workshop mode, you can scrap materials such as this mailbox, for example, for 6 steel, which can build a metal wall somewhere. Or you can scrap this lamp, for example, or debris of trees, for example. You scrap that for materials to build your ideal society. So once you've done cleaning up your whole area, pretty much, for materials, they'll get stored in the big little red box here. But the first thing that you want to build, or try to build, is a radio beacon. And a radio beacon allows you to gain population faster as it reaches out to the entire wasteland, to settlers that hear about the safe community that you're running. So it's a good starter in bringing settlers to you. Unfortunately, in this game, they have a population gap, and the gap of population cap, sorry. The population cap of this game is 20 or 21, I believe. The big little red box gives you 10 people or 11. I'm not sure about that, but it's either 10 or 11. And then every single point that you put in your charisma stat, it adds an extra person. So if you have 10 charisma points, you can have 20 to 21 people in your settlement. So that's pretty awesome. Because the more people you have, the more jobs that they can do, the more revitalized your community is going to get, and the more advanced it's going to get, and the more prosperous it's going to get, right? So let's go through all the categories first. So we talked about population. Let's talk about food. So basically, when you're out in the wasteland, you're not focusing on collecting food or stupid junk pieces like an oil can or whatever, but those things are very important in this game now to build your own settlement. If you find food, you can plant it in your garden and reproduce food for your population, and they need food to survive, so that's how you feed them. And when you're out on these quests, you only search for ammo usually, but in this Fallout game, they've strained the need to get other resources, and junk isn't useless anymore. It actually is essential in building a community. So you just get potatoes, you get melons, you plant them in your garden, and you assign people to work on them by clicking on the settler. So basically, you click on the settler to assign them to a job, and then you click on what you want them to work on. So you press X on the settler, and then X again on the thing you want to work on. So I want him to work on the potato plant, and on the top left screen it should say this resource is now assigned. So now my basically my person that I just put on there is my farmer now, and he's gonna walk around and get me food for my colony. So, so yeah, again, I stress the importance of just taking everything that you can from your environment. If it's an old rusty can, it gives you aluminum. If it's a twig, it gives you wood. All of those can be used to build items. Next thing I want to talk about is water. Water is something your settlers need or else they'll die. So the structures that I can make, you basically have to go to resources and you go to water. And water, it creates something for them to drink, basically. Something non-radiated, and it's clean water. So you just put that into the ground. You don't even have to assign anyone to it. It just automatically, builds into your society. And then once your society is prosperous, you can start building really huge purifiers that give you 40 water, that give you 10 water, instead of giving you just a base of 3 per building here. So, the next thing I want to talk about is power. And power is essential in getting some things running, like the radio beacon, like certain turrets, like lights, for example, in your house. So, what you gotta do for power is that when you click on power, you see generators. You click on generators, and you see that those are all the supplies you need to build a generator. So once you build a generator, here we'll use the one I already built. Once you built the generator, there's gonna be a button on the bottom that says attach wire. So you need copper for this wire to work. So you press triangle, and now I can attach this wire anywhere I want to power up something. So I want to power up a light, for example, or a connector. So I just press triangle again, and I attach the wire, and it gives it power. So there's your power influx, basically. Next is defense, and defense is relatively important, especially early on when you don't have as many people, because you will get raided if you don't have a good defense setup. So you would go into your defense tab and make up little stockpiles of wood, and you'd assign another person to them so they'd watch guard all the time, and then you can build some turrets. These turrets in particular don't need power. Only the laser turrets require power. So that's, and you can also set traps with the defense as well. Um, what else you need are beds for your settlers. So when your settlers can't sleep on anything, they get unhappy, and your happiness goes down, and your people start rioting and whatever. So you want to keep them happy, give them a place to sleep. You just go to furniture, go to beds, it's the first thing there. You can either give them a crappy bed, or you can give them a sleeping bag if you really hate them, or you can give them a queen size normal bed. It doesn't really matter on which bed as long as they get to sleep on. So they're happy. Um, so basically, another thing that I want to talk about is that when you get to a point where you're self-sufficient, you can start making stores around your community. You just have to go to stores, and you can build particular like trading stores for weapons, for a doctor, for example, for food and drink, for a clinic, and all these stores will give you will give you easy access to raw goods and like stim packs, which you need to heal yourself, ammo of all types and sorts. Other than that, oh, and as you build these stores, you'll notice that once I click on the store, there's two more upgrades I can make for it. These upgrades can only be done if you have a certain perk that is required and is fulfilled. So if you have perk of medic and local leader, you can start building a store. If you need to build better turrets, you need gun nut, perk 1 or rank 2 or rank 3 in order to build certain materials and stuff. So yeah, I believe that's all. Oh, last thing, last thing. This big little red box can be also activated through the big touchscreen on the PS4 controller. All you have to do is hold it, and you're in the workshop screen. And when you're in the wasteland and you collect all this junk, you don't want to sit through 5 minutes of your time and just put it all in your workshop. You can just press square and you open up this menu. This menu basically allows you to store all the junk. See in the bottom middle, store all junk. So all the dumb stuff you picked up on your travels, like an antique globe, a baby rattle, a ball peen hammer, things you can't use in the game, but you can use in the actual crafting and materials. You can it all gets transferred here, and see each part in the middle there. Each part has a certain resource it gets: ceramic, circuitry, cloth, etc. Last but not least, I'm going to talk about the resources. Um, the resources, the materials, sorry, that are really hard to get are adhesive for weapon modding and armor modding, copper, and screws and gears. But as you level up your perks, you're bound to get better scavenging opportunities, and there's also stores in Diamond City that will give you a bulk portion of resource. Thank you guys for watching. Please like, subscribe, and I hope this tutorial helped you build your own settlement. Peace.